There we go. Now we're live. Very cool. What's up, everybody? Hope you all are having a wonderful day. I just went live on Instagram just to let everybody know that we were going to be going live here. And so welcome. My name is Miguel Quiles. You're here on my channel, but you already know that, probably. I don't know. If the YouTube algorithm does its job, maybe you might be new. But if you are, I'm a portrait photographer based out of Orlando, Florida. We are here in my studio right now. And I'm really excited because we're doing a portrait lighting workshop. And I'm going to answer questions in regards to, lighting, cameras, lenses, camera settings, working with models, gear, you name it, right? We're going to cover the entire spectrum. But before we do that, I want to give a big shout out and big thank you to Rotolight for sponsoring this workshop. They have just come out with these brand new Aeos 2 Pros and Neo 3 Pros, which I happen to have here at the studio. Beautiful, beautiful lights. And you might have seen this video on my channel where I talk about these lights, but I'm super pumped because both of these lights, these Pro units, they have presets that are made by different photographers, different cinematographers, including yours truly. I have my own light preset pack in these new Neo 3 Pro and Aeos 2 Pro. So I'm going to be showing those off today in the live stream. So really excited for that. We're going to do a live photo shoot along the way. Any questions that you have, leave them in the comment section. And I see, and let me know, by the way, in the comments where you are watching from. And more importantly, what time is it where you're watching? Because right now it's 2 p.m. Eastern time here in Orlando, Florida, but kind of interested to see what time it is. Are you watching me at 1 or 2 a.m.? That's what I'm always curious about. So I see Thomas is in San Diego. Coert. I'm really bad with names. I have a really tough one too, but he says, let's go. We about to do this. I'm going to check and see here. Make sure that my stream is actually on. Yep. Sweet. Let's see. Chuck from Detroit, Michigan. Gerhard from Austria. Got Malcolm in Savannah. Olas in the Netherlands, 7 p.m. JB in New Jersey, Dirty Jersey. Got MJ in California, Poland, Texas, Uganda, NYC, Charlotte, North Carolina, Nebraska. Oh, it's like Kurt. So it's not Court. See, I told you I was going to brutalize that. It's Kurt. I like that. Dutch spelling. Perfect. Learn something new every day. Let's see. RBJ. It's 103 in the Big Easy, New Orleans. C. Lopez in Phoenix. Very cool. Robert in Detroit, Albuquerque. Man, y'all are showing up. I like this. This is great. All right. So I see that, wow, battery is near end. Interesting. That was fast. So we're going to switch cameras here in a second because apparently I'm running off of battery on the main camera and it's about to die. This is the fun of a live stream. So let's see. This is plugged in. So why is it? Oh, nope, it's not plugged in. See? That is why. That is why.
I'm glad you can see that.
Yeah. That's how it goes. Just no one walk back there because it's a absolute death trap. There we go. All right. So anyway, if this is your first time here for a live stream, this is going to be really cool. I wanted to make this experience for this live stream to be as close to being here in person as we could possibly make it. So I know oftentimes when people do live streams, they'll have one camera and they talk to you, and doing a live photo shoot is really difficult. Or they do death by PowerPoint, which I don't want to do. I want to actually shoot and show you along the way how I do things. So we have a few different ways that we are going to accomplish this. The first one being I have a camera here, which is going to give you kind of a wide look at our set. So we've got our Rotolight lights set up here. We're going to walk through exactly how I set them up to shoot portraits and all that good stuff. And then just to walk around here, make sure everything is good. So we've got a camera here, which is basically a little side angle so that you're able to see, you know, once I'm actually shooting, you'll be able to see where the lights are positioned, where Katelyn's going to be standing, all that good stuff. And then going over here, got another angle here. So again, there's not a bad seat in the house, hopefully. Hopefully y'all be able to see no matter where, you know, where the action might take us. We've got wide, we've got a couple of angles here. And then while we are actually shooting, we will be able to see the photos that are popping up on Capture One. So you won't have to worry, you know, about like, hey, Miguel's talking about these photos, but I can't see anything. You're going to get to see them full screen. For the pixel peepers that are out there, we can pixel peep images if you want to. Just let me know in the comments. You know, if you want to see a certain shot closer, just let me know you want me to pixel peep it, and we can take a look at it. Cameras that we're going to be using today for the stream. I've got the Alpha 7R4. And right now I've got a 35mm lens, which I may or may not actually keep on the camera. But yeah, so A7R4, 35mm G Master. Right off set here, I've got a 2470 G Master version 2. It's an f2.8. I've also got the 70-200 f2.8 version 2. And I think I got the 50 1.2 as well. So we have a couple of different options available for our shoot today. So really excited for that. So yeah, any questions that you all have, leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to get through as many of them as I can. And then of course, the goal today is going to be, we're going to do a bunch of different light setups. And I have some cool stuff that I'm really excited. I haven't had the opportunity to show some of this. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's see. Braulio with the super chat. Thank you so much. Big fan of your work. Hugs from Brazil. Thank you, Braulio. I appreciate that. Much love right back to you. And by the way, any super chats, those go to support the channel. I haven't talked about this, but this live stream that you're watching right now might seem like it's just like, hey, put the camera on and just hit record and we're ready to go. It's taken me 2 days to set this like craziness up. A lot of troubleshooting, a lot of just like challenges with audio. If you watched my last live stream that I had like a few months ago, you probably know like the audio was really bad. Hopefully the audio today's better. Let me know in the comments. Just takes a long time to set this thing up. It seems like it's really easy, but there's cables literally all over the studio to make this happen. So thanks for watching. Let's see. Swappin' Day says, do you like to shoot portrait with vintage lenses as well? Which is your favorite vintage lens that you've used? I haven't shot very much with vintage lenses just because when you start shooting with some of the sharper stuff that's available today, you get spoiled a little bit. I do like the look of some vintage glass, like the Helios, the 44mm lens looks really cool. I actually have a few vintage A-mount lenses, which are really good. Like I have a Zeiss 85-1.4 ZA, which is really good. But I don't know, I'm going to get more into it, but I really enjoy these days using some of the newer glass. So let's see. Watching from Italy, audio is good. Will you get the A7R5? Yes, I will. And I actually have a video on the A7R5 on the Sony Alpha Universe YouTube channel. So if you want to see, I had a photo shoot with Katelyn. We used it. It was wonderful. So Kurt says audio is perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Sweet. All right. So Katelyn is in the house. So we're going to get things warmed up here. I'm probably going to start off really simple. We'll do like a 1 light setup, and then I'll slowly like build it up to 2 lights and 3 lights and all that good stuff. So I'm going to turn this one off for now and talk through this. So first things first, usually whenever I'm taking like a studio portrait, what I'm usually trying to do is to first work with that 1 light. And I would recommend to anybody, if you're trying to get into portrait photography, especially off-camera lighting, if you don't make the mistake I made. Like I went out, I was watching people, we're talking back in like 2011, you know, I was watching like early YouTube tutorials, and you see these photographers with like 5 lights. You're like, oh, shoot, I'm inspired. I'm going to get that credit card. I'm going to buy 5 lights. 5 lights shows up and the pictures look terrible. And you're like, it doesn't make sense. I have 5 lights. I spent $1,000 on lights. Why doesn't this look good? The most important thing that you could ever do is understand what one light is doing, understand what you can and cannot do with that one light before you add that second and that third and fourth and 10th and 20th light, right? So focus more on learning one light, and then you can build off of that. There's a lot that you can do with a single light. So in this case, the single light that I'm working with right now is going to be the Aeos 2 Pro. Right now, I actually have this blue color, which is one of my presets that's available. It's built into the light. So if you go into the menu and actually turn it on the Neo 3 here. So I guess I should turn this down so it doesn't just blind my face. But you can see here my presets. You see it says Miguel, let's see, Miguel Quiles right there, right? So click on that. And you could see, you could just go back. You could scroll through here and you could see all of the colors that are available. So I believe this is the blue color. Yep. So that's the color that I'm currently using in my preset pack. And it looks pretty cool. So you have the ability to choose from these different presets, different gels. Of course, you could use this as well as a flash, which is really cool. And we're going to do that during this photo shoot today. And of course, you could use just regular, you know, daylight, tungsten, all the different settings, all the way from 3000 Kelvin, which might be a little hard to see, but 3000 Kelvin all the way up to 10,000 Kelvin. So good range. All right. So we're going to work with this one light. Hopefully y'all have watched some of my older videos, but if you haven't, I would highly recommend to you to get one of these rolling stands with these boom arms. This is so like useful and so clutch. Just because I'm able to actually, when I raise this thing up, I can get underneath the light to take these photos, which is something that I do all the time. You're going to want to do that. So having this boom arm makes it really helpful. And of course, it would also help if you don't disconnect your lights. The joys of a live stream. See, when you watch my videos, you watch my tutorials, you know, we do all this like slow motion stuff. And what you don't see is all the times that I like trip over cables. You know, we make it like super cinematic, but in reality, if you saw it real time, you're like, dang, Miguel almost killed himself again. Gotta love it. All right. So it's usually a really good starting place to kind of put your lights center, right? Like just above the subject, have it kind of centered up with them. This actually looks pretty good. So Katelyn, do me a favor, take a step forward and then take a little step this way. Perfect, just like that. So one of the big things that I love about shooting with a constant light is that you can look at the person's face and you can see what that light is doing to their face, to their wardrobe, to their body. This blue light looks amazing. Like, it is amazing. There is actually like a little diffusion plastic cover over this light. So it does soften the light just the tiniest bit. But oftentimes I'll have people ask me, like, do you always like using soft light? Do you like using hard light? This is a really nice kind of mix where it's not super soft, but it's also not super hard. If you have somebody that has good skin, has really nice structure to their face, you're able to enhance that using a light like this. So I'm going to stop talking about it. We're going to shoot it, because why not? And I'm not going to do it with a 35 because that's for somebody else, not for me. Let's see. We're going to shoot this today with the 24 to 70. This is the G Master version 2, just to show y'all. 2470 G Master version 2. This is a f 2.8 lens. Yeah, really sharp, which you will get to see here once we get to the pixel peeping action. And of course, again, if you're watching this live, any questions that you have, leave them in the comment section. And after a few moments of me shooting here, come back to the comments and check you out. Make sure I haven't lost anybody. Okay, so let's go set this thing up properly. So of course, like I mentioned, I'm using the A7R4. One of the things that I do want to make sure of is to make sure that live view is turned on, which it currently is not. So that's one of the big advantages. I had somebody asking me in the Instagram live whether or not DSLRs were like still something to use in 2022, or if you should buy one in 2023. It's so much easier to be able to focus using a mirrorless camera that to me, it just doesn't make sense why anybody would choose to use a DSLR in these days. This just makes life so much easier, especially having live view. I could look at this and I could see how it's going to look before I even take this photograph. So I'm at f2.8, 1/160th of a second. I'm at ISO 400, and we're just going to take a shot here. Let's just check this out. Here we go. Perfect. Let's make sure that our stream's coming through. She looks like a big blue Smurf here. Look at that. It's not what she wants to see, but this is where we start off. I'm looking at the lighting. I'm looking to see the exposure, wanting to make sure that it looks okay. Tatiana, do me a favor. On the top where it says exposure warning, it's on the top right. Click that. All right. So to my eyes, I was like, man, this looks really blue. I wonder why. And part of the reason is that all that you're seeing right there that's red is totally overexposed. Now on my viewfinder, it didn't look that bad. It didn't look like she was like that overexposed, but apparently she is very overexposed. So what can we do? We have some different options. Usually in a situation like this, the first thing that I do is I look at my ISO, which is currently at ISO 400, and I'm actually going to bring that, just bring it to 100. Ooh, all right. This is already looking better. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, you notice if we put on that exposure warning, okay, so we still have a little tiny bit of overexposure, definitely not as bad as the last photograph. All we did was go from ISO 400 to 100, and you could see that there's still overexposure on the clothing, on parts of her face. You do not want to overexpose your subject, especially their skin, because what's going to happen is you could recover it because it is a raw file. You could actually recover some of the photo. But the problem is that when you blow out pixels, when you have like all these parts here that are in red, what will end up happening is you can't recover the color in those pixels. So they will always be like not as saturated. It's just not going to give you like the true color of what those pixels were. So now that we're at ISO 100 and we're getting a little bit better, what I'm actually going to do is bring my f-stop up. Now, of course, you have a lot of other options. If you really wanted to get the look of f2.8 for some reason, then you could just take your light power. Right now it's at 100%, so it's on full blast. So you could actually just turn the power down on that if you wanted to shoot at f2.8. If you watch my stuff, you already know I'm not the biggest fan of shooting wide open on lenses. I'm perfectly fine with going up. So I'm actually going to go to, let's say, f5.6. And this looks pretty good. All right, so we get set up here. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right. So now we're at f5.6, ISO 100, 1/160th of a second. And now we're getting something that hopefully looks a little better. We've got a little bit of overexposure on the clothing, but that's not super crazy. It's not too bad. Part of that is because her top is kind of like a whitish color. I'm actually going to bring this light up just a little bit. I think this is going to get us where we need to be anyway. So here we go. Do one more. Okay. Perfect. All right. So kept the settings the same. I just raised up the light. You can see there's a lot less that's overexposed there. You know, in a perfect world, I would prefer to not have any areas that are overexposed. But to be honest with you, that's not that bad. I probably would be okay with that. As far as the exposure, that looks pretty good. The other thing you could do as well is I could actually just rotate this just the slightest bit. So instead of it going down, it's kind of going towards the back a little bit, towards the background. Take one more here. Perfect. And so, yeah, so there you go. Now there's just a little bit of overexposure on the lips, but I'm not worried about that. I'm really worried more so about the skin, making sure the skin looks good. And from there, we are pretty much golden. So, yeah, so settings wise, that's how I would arrive at the settings for one light. This is with blue light using my preset pack. But let's say you just want it to be, you know, just kind of old school. You want it to just look, you know, just look like nice, clean light. We'll take another shot here. This is going to be a daylight lit shot. So now you could see, actually, let me go on to capture one here for a second. I'm just going to switch the view to, all right. So you could see the histogram is very much like skewed to the left. So switching it from that blue color to shooting with like the daylight, you know, 5600 Kelvin, that kind of changed our output a little bit. So really simple. Again, just showing you how I arrive at different settings. I'm looking at this here on my screen, 3/20th of the, or sorry, ISO 320. You can see it starts to get a little bit brighter. So it's looking a little bit better. Nothing is overexposed. We still have a little bit more room. If we wanted to stay at 5.6, we could also bring our aperture down to 4.5. There we go. So opening up the aperture to 4.5, keeping the ISO the same, we're starting to get something that looks a little bit better. So really easy. This is kind of where we start off. Usually when I'm shooting in the studio, I start off with shots like this, where I take, you know, a couple of little test shots, trying to figure out where do I want the lights, what do I want the quality of the light to look like, do I like the background? I'm looking at a variety of different factors. The big thing that I'm looking at is the catch lights, and in this case, the lack of catch lights that are in the eyes. So her eyes, you can see, are kind of dark. You're not seeing the little glint of light. And if we could switch back to the main, to the wide here, part of the reason is that if you see the height of this light, right now, this is the bottom, and it's going way over the top of Katelyn's head. So you actually are not able to see like where this light is actually reflecting from her eyes. So the way to be able to do that is for me to actually lower the light. Of course, by doing that, that's going to change the exposure on quite a few things, but we'll lower this down. And again, one of the benefits of having that constant light is I don't need to wonder if like this is the right height. I could just have Katelyn look at me and I could see in her eyes the reflection of this light. So I already know we are golden. So I'm going to bring my ISO down just a touch. Let's go to 250. Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. So now you can see here in the eyes that you're getting that little glint, that little reflection in the eyes, which is pretty sweet. So usually that's what I'm trying to get in my portraits. Sometimes the difference from one lighting setup to the next might be kind of hard to tell the difference, like what's different. It's those little things. Like I'll look at a shot and if the lighting overall looks really good to me, then the next thing I'm doing is looking at the eyes, making sure that I can see the catch lights. And then sometimes what I'll end up doing is I will tweak it even more. So if I'm getting the catch lights and they're just not looking super interesting, the other thing you could do as well is to bring in reflectors. That also is a way for you to be able to kind of tweak the look of the catch lights, but it's also going to tweak the look of the image overall. So let's bring in a little silver reflector here. And again, I can look right at Katelyn, and this is probably very bright, but I could see now there's a different look to her eyes. So let's do this one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now you can see that the eyes look a little bit different. Now you're seeing two different catch lights. You're seeing the reflection of the light, and you're also seeing the reflection of the reflector bouncing off some of that light from that main light. And to me, this is more of like a commercial kind of vibe. When I shoot beauty, when I shoot like any kind of commercial style headshots, this is what I want. I need the eyes to look interesting. I need that to be the first thing that captures people's attention, and then we're good to go. Now, the lighting on Katelyn looks, for me, perfect. And again, I'm at f4.5, 1/160th of a second, ISO 250. I've got the Aeos 2 Pro at 5600 Kelvin, 100% output. And it's roughly, I don't know, what would you call that? Like 3 feet away? Seems about right. So about 3 feet away. And that's where we're at. Now, Katelyn is probably standing another 3 feet away from the background. So now the next thing that I look at is to say, okay, do I like the look of the background? In this case, gray doesn't look terrible. I actually probably would prefer gray over most other colors for backgrounds, mainly because I could take this gray background and I could change it to like any color that I want to in post-production. So let's say later on down the road, we're like, hey, we want to make this into like a baby blue background. You could do that if you shot it on gray. But let's say maybe we want to go for more of like a white vibe. Maybe we're trying to go for like a, commercial vibe, and the vibe is a white background. Cool, no problem. We know that if the light on Katelyn looks fabulous at 3 feet, but it's not looking so good on the background, we have a couple of options. We can take this entire setup, move Katelyn closer to the background, keep the light 3 feet away from her. We'll get the same quality of light on Katelyn's face. But we'll get more light on the background because the light will be closer to the background. Or option 2, which we could do today, is that we can actually add an additional light. And that light would be just for the background. So I have the Aeos 2. And right now the Aeos 2 is set to orange, but we're going to match up our color here. So we're at, let's see, 100%, 5600 Kelvin. So that's just lighting up our background. And let's try this out. Here we go. Perfect. All right, so now you can see that we're getting a little bit more light on the background. Because the light is coming from one side, you're not getting like a perfectly white background. That again is one of those things where you could remedy this a few different ways. I have this actually set up to the right of Katelyn, or actually her left. So what I could do is, instead of having it at an angle, you could just watch out because this is going to be right behind you. So don't fall backwards. Not that you make a habit of doing that, but there we go. So you could put the light behind her, a little bit more centered, and then hopefully from the camera's perspective, can't see the light. So this is cool. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Actually, you could see it, but that's something that we can play around with. I have a pretty tall light stand behind her. So this would be one where maybe I would dip that light a little bit lower. And of course, it won't go any lower. So we're going to play around here, try to see if we can hide that. So take a micro step this way. There you go. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's not going to work. So sometimes you could kind of like hide things. In this case, this stand is a little bit too tall. So it pays to have some different stands, some that are a bit shorter. So we'll take this out from behind you. Any questions in the chat, by the way? While I do a little light change. Then I could tie my shoes before I die. Yep, that was 135. Ooh. Good question. Yeah. So the one question was in regards to making Rotolight lights compatible with additional remotes such as Godox. You know, I think that's fine. You know, I think that's perfectly fine. You know, if you've already got some Godox lights, you're thinking about maybe going with something like a constant light, it's a good thing, right? And it's not only compatible with Godox, it's compatible with Profoto, Newer, Elechrome. So you have a bunch of different options in regards to like flash triggers. So I think that's a good thing. That's perfectly fine. Let's see. Are those shadows in her cheeks from the light being adjusted? So go back to capture one for me. And so everything that you're seeing in terms of the lighting, and you could actually turn off exposure warning since people might think I made that little red thing. So everything that you're seeing right now is being caused by that single light, with the exception of the background, which we're currently lighting with an additional light. So, and let me take that shot. Now that I've adjusted this, I basically just took that second light, put it on a shorter stand, and here we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So again, now we're starting to get a little bit more light on the background. We can get that like pure whitish background. You can see it's still not perfectly white, right? It's still a tiny bit on the gray side, but keep this in mind. It's much easier for me to take that background and go into post, go into Photoshop. Literally takes 2 seconds, especially now with a lot of the AI tools that are available in Lightroom. You could select your subject, create a mask of the inverse, which would be the background. And you could literally just adjust the exposure in like 2 seconds. So this for me wouldn't be like a bad point to start off with, because I could actually just fix the exposure. I'm more concerned with the exposure on Katelyn's face, which in this case looks stunning, looks absolutely beautiful. You could also, in this case, we're at ISO 250, and I think we have some room to basically go up a little bit. So if I go up to 320, 1, 2, 3. So that also gives me a really nice exposure on Katelyn's face. And now we've also brought up the exposure on the background, because we went from ISO 250 to 320, kept everything else the same. Aperture, shutter speed stayed exactly the same. And we're still getting a really nice quality image, really nice portrait, getting that really nice white background. So this for me is kind of like my jumping off point for a lot of beauty shots, things of that nature. Super easy, you know, and this is using 2 lights. Now you could also, if you wanted to, if you had 3 lights, you could have a third light and basically add it as an edge light coming from the back, which we happen to have another light. So we've got another Aeos 2, which I'm going to turn on here. This is a lot of light, whole lot of light. So put that at 5600, and let's see. So again, I always go back to where my shooting point is. Just see what it looks like. This is great. 1, 2, 3. Good. And so now all we did was just add a little bit of light off the shoulder. Some of that light is lighting the side of Katelyn's face. So again, really easy to basically jump off of like a 1 light setup. You start off with the 1 light, you look at it, you say, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to light the background a little bit more? If that's the case, you can take that single light setup and move everything closer to the background. Keep your ratio the same as far as the light distance from the subject. And we're just decreasing the distance of the light to the background to brighten that up. Or you could add a second light, light up the background. And then in this case, we have a third light, which is it's just adding that little bit of an edge light to Katelyn's face. So that's part of our setup. Go back to our chat here. I'm gonna turn off this little edge light. All right. What brand is your backdrop stand? I believe it's made by Savage. I have a couple of different light or backdrop stands, so I believe this one is from Savage. But yeah, let's see. Just going through the questions here. How many lights would you say is ideal for studio portraits? I would say if you had a single light and a reflector, you're pretty much golden. Like you could do pretty much everything you need to do just with that setup. Now, obviously, having additional lights, I would say if you had like 3 or 4 lights, that's probably the sweet spot, because most everything you would want to do, you could do it with 3 or 4 lights. But realistically, these lights are not cheap. So if you're on a budget, you're trying to just get started, a single light is going to take you a long way. And then you get a reflector. You see the setup. It's really easy, simple to do. Let's see. John, thank you for the super chat, 20 bucks. You are the MVP. Thank you. Hopefully this is helping you out. Julio in Puerto Rico says, nice presentation. Thank you. Yeah, so any other questions that you all have along the way, please leave them in the chat, and I will try to address them as we go. We're going to change things up here a little bit. So we did kind of like what I like to call the vanilla shot. You know, it looks good. It's nice and clean. But maybe you want to change things up. You know, you want to do something a little bit more kind of dramatic, add some color. So we're going to turn off our light, our little backlight here. We're going to go back to working just with our main light. In this case, I'm going to go to my little presets here. And let's see, Miguel Quiles. And we're going to look through some of these colors and see which one we want to use. So we've got, I believe it's 20 different presets of mine. There's other ambassadors who also have additional colors that are available here as well. But these are some of the colors that are available in my preset pack. And this last one here, I'm going to shoot with this one. This isn't the look that I was trying to go for, but this is one of these colors that I love using it for portraits. It just has like a really nice look to it. So I'm going to shoot this one here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm a big fan of this color. And it's kind of funny because like it just makes skin tones look really good, which is one of the reasons why I have it set up as one of my presets. And it's a little unorthodox because when you see the color in the menu, it's yellow. So you're like, why would I want to light someone with a yellow light? But the color to me looks really cool. It's got a look to it, you know, especially if you compare it to the other shots. It just has a little bit of a look to it that like I'm a really big fan of. And again, the settings pretty much stayed the same because it's the same setup as what we did before. But here's what we're going to do. We're not going to play with that color. We're going to play with this bluish. Let's see. I'm thinking between the blue and the pink. Let's go with the blue. So we got that first light set up. And then we're going to take our second light. We're going to switch this up. Use a complementary color. We'll go for our Hollywood blockbuster color setup here of teal and orange. So we could do something like this. Something like that. And so let's see what we get. Here we go. Hold that. Very nice. All right, so now we're getting a little bit of that kind of like bluish skin vibe. We got the orange color lighting up the hair, just adding like a little kiss of color to the image, which I kind of dig. Adding some color as well to the fabric of her clothes. You're getting a little bit on the shoulder. It's not super pronounced, right? It's not like super strong in the image. So really easy to kind of toy with this and make it how you want. You can bring it in a little bit closer, something like that. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Good. Okay. So basically bringing the light in a little bit closer, and now you're starting to get even more of that color in the shot. And so right now I'm at 70, basically I'm at 70 millimeters on this 2470, and I can't get any closer. So I'm actually going to take this 2470 off. I'll just, is the picture-in-picture on this thing? No? Yeah, let's.
I was on camera 3.
Camera 3. Sweet. Okay. All right. So we're going to put the 70 to 200 on. And the main reason for this is that the composition of that shot doesn't look bad to me. I would just prefer to make it a little bit tighter. And it's a little easier to do that if you have a 70 to 200. So, and I happen to have one. So why not? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So now I'm at 100 millimeters instead of 70. Very nice. Ooh, love that. Killer. Beautiful. Nice. Sweet. All right. So we got a couple shots here. Kept my settings the same. Again, one of the big advantages to having constant light is that, you know, you could look at it and you can see what it looks like. And if it looks good, you're off to the races. If it doesn't look good, fix it. Change the colors, change your lenses, change stuff until you get it looking the way that you want it to look. Now, we have something here in the studio, which I'm going to kick on. I'm going to let it warm up. I'm going to take some questions while that does that. But I think that will make our shots look a little more interesting here. All right, JB has a question. For exposure adjustments, you're changing ISO. Why not adjust shutter? Is there a concern with mixing ambient with your lights? Really good question. In this case, you could adjust your shutter. I tend to want to have my shutter speed to be more than whatever the focal length is of the lens that I'm using. I happen to be on a tripod, so I'm cheating a little bit. And that's not by design. I'm sure maybe somebody will ask this in the chat at some point. But the only reason I'm really using the tripod right now is that because I'm walking back and forth and I'm changing lights, I don't want to have to put my camera down, right? So if I have it on the tripod, it makes it really easy for the purposes of the stream. So assuming that I wasn't on a tripod, which most of the time I'm not, I'm hand holding my camera, I like to keep my shutter speed up to whatever, you know, we'll say in this case, 1/160 to maybe 1/400th of a second, so long as the person isn't moving a lot. And that tends to give me sharper images and better quality images. And I would rather, in this case, I've got the R4, bringing up the ISO from 100 to 400 to even as high as like 800, you're still going to get a really clean shot. You're still going to get a really good quality image. If you were using like an older camera or an older DSLR where maybe the higher ISO values don't give you as crisp of an image, then yeah, you're going to have to tweak something, right? Probably either have to lower your f-stop or lower your shutter speed. In this case, the R4 is a beast. So I could bring it up to as high as ISO 800, even ISO 1000 for studio stuff, and it's still going to be super clean. So yes, you could basically get to the same result with different settings. It's just a matter of what do you want to do. What are your feelings on hair light and kickers on low-key feather lighting? It could look cool. It could look cool. It just depends on like what are you trying to get. So yes, my feelings are could look cool in the right situation. Where'd you get the light stand for the key light? So that is, I have it actually a video about this on my YouTube channel. If you look up Miguel Quiles light stand, you'll see the you know, the exact like light stand that I'm using. I believe this one's made by Kupo, and I'll put the link in the description so that you can find it a little easier because they have a couple of them that are similar, but that's definitely the one to go for. Let's see. What reason to use another color light if it's possible to do to just adjust the white balance? I mean, if you're using one light, you could do that. Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to play with the colors, you could play with the white balance, and that would change the colors to some extent. But part of the advantage of having an LED light that basically can produce 16.7 million different colors is the fact that you could produce 16.7 million colors. If I wasn't doing it this way, then the old school way of doing it would be to basically, and I got a whole bunch of these just laying around, get yourself some gels, put these on your lights. This will change it. But gel packs usually have, I want to say like between 20 to 50 different colors. So we're talking 20 to 50 different colors that are going to get all wrinkled up. You're going to lose some of them. Some might get messed up from the heat of the light. In this case, you've got a light that can produce 16.7 million colors just by changing a dial or by using the app, which I'm not using because I have my live stream so I can answer y'all's questions. But there's a lot of different ways to adjust the colors, and it's quicker. And it's just more, you can get more of a variety of different colors than you could by just adjusting your white balance. So it is a way to do it, but it would be preferable to do it with a light where you could actually change it to what you want. I got my Godox 8200 Pro. I'm planning to buy a wide softbox, 120 to or 135 centimeter for isolate the shadow on the face. Though I know for wide softbox need more light power, it will be work. Yeah, with an 8200 Pro, you probably are going to need, like, you're going to want to stick to some of the smaller softboxes for that. 3 feet. Whatever that works out to in centimeters, that's probably about the most that I would go. What is the first continuous studio light you recommend for a prosumer wanting to dabble in high quality portraits, but not wanting to make a career out of it, under 500? I'm not sure what the, I would have to double check and see what the pricing is, but the Neo 3 would be a really good option because you can light portraits using this. It's very, very bright. And it's probably somewhere close to that price range. But, you know, realistically, the key is that, like, there's a lot of LED lights on the market that are in that, like, sub $500 range. The challenges that you run into is that the LED lights that they put into these panels, they create these, like, weird color shifts in the skin. So, like, to your eyes, it looks like it's pure white, right? Or dark, like a yellowish color, like golden hour, right? Some of them are bicolor and they give you that golden look. So to your eyes, it might look fine. When you start taking pictures, your camera sees something totally different. I remember the very first set of LED lights I used was way back in like 2014. And I was excited because they were Bowens mount. You could put modifiers on it. Super hype. Did a photo shoot. In the back of the camera, everything looked fine. I get to my computer, getting ready to start processing the files, and I noticed that along the edges of the model's skin, it was green. And I'm like, okay. Go to the next photo. It's like a purplish color. I'm like, what is going on? From shot to shot, it was either green skin or purple skin. And so it probably took me a good like 15 minutes on each image to get the color to be uniform across all the images. And then I realized that, like, there's a weird tint that happens when you use these cheaper LEDs. So there's a reason why, like, for many years, it used to be that you couldn't even spend $2,000 and get an LED that would give you clean skin tones. And now you're starting to see lights like the Neo 3, you know, the Aeos 2, that are in that sub $2,000 category that are giving you these, like, really clean LED lights where you can photograph a wide range of different skin tones and the skin tones look good. Like, you're not getting these weird color shifts and things like that. So I would tell you, if you're trying to stay under $500, it's a challenge. You might be better off going with a strobe in that situation, but yeah, that's a really tough one. You know, it's kind of like saying, like, hey, I want the fastest sports car that I can get, but I've only got $8K to spend. It's like, sports cars cost a little more. But I would say check the Neo 3 because it might be very, very close to that price range. And then you get the quality that I've been talking about. So Let's see, how is the heat of the lamp housing developing? So this light has actually been on since before Katelyn got here. So it's been over a couple of hours, and I have my hand on the front of this thing, and I could probably talk for another hour. It's warm, but it's not like blistering hot. Like my hand's not melting off. So it stays relatively cool. It does have a fan. I'm standing right next to it. I don't know if it's picking up. Can you hear that in the chat? Let me know in the comments if y'all can hear the fan. Yeah, so the fan is blowing because this thing has been on now for probably over an hour, but it's still cool to the touch. I mean, I could touch the very center of the light, no issue. Touch the back, and this is plugged into the wall. This is the the Aeos 2 Pro. If I go to the original Aeos, this one is running off of battery power. This one is cooler. Yeah, they're both pretty cool. And they're both at 100%. So the Aeos 2 Pro is running a little bit warmer than the original Aeos 2, but it's still not very warm. I mean, you can put your hands on it and you're perfectly fine. Let's see. Let's see. I'm still working with my, this is Elizabeth, still working with my Nikon D610. I love my R4, or I love the R4. My friend has it, but who can afford it? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, go with the camera that works best for you, right? I mean, there's always going to be something that's better, but you should be able to rock with whatever it is that you have, as long as you have like the right, other stuff. Let's see, bro, how are you doing this? Audio, you're moving around, but you sound clear and the volume never changes. So the secret is I have a lavalier mic that's under my shirt. So you can't see it, but maybe you could hear that. So I have it high, it's hidden under my shirt. So that's how I'm able to walk around and you could hear me. My last live stream, I had a boomed shotgun mic. And if you watch that live stream, the audio was terrible. So this was our solution, was to put on a lav mic. So this is the Sennheiser G3. So hopefully it sounds good. Let's see. John says you could hear it, but it's not outrageously loud. Yeah, that's kind of the point of it. Like, it's not super loud. And honestly, if you're shooting stills, who cares, right? No big deal. All right, so I think I have stalled long enough. This should be ready. So let's see what we can do here. Hopefully this doesn't trigger my sprinklers, because that would be funny. So it's Halloween. I had my little fog machine here. There we go. Cool. All right, get a little bit of fog. Then what we're gonna do is bring these lights here on the inside. Take the second one here. And hopefully match those up pretty good. Bring it in relatively close. Whew. There we go. Cool. All right, let's see what we get here. 1, 2, 3. Cool. And so spraying this fog does a couple of things. We're going to kind of play around with this, but it just kind of takes off a little bit of the sharpness of this image. So oftentimes you'll hear people say like, oh man, it's just like, it's too sharp. The shots are clinical, If you want to add a little bit of like atmosphere and ambiance to your shots, this is a way for you to be able to do it, is to basically just add some atmosphere, add some fog to your image. I'm actually going to play with my settings here, go to f2.8. I'm going to drop my ISO to 125 because I want to get a little bit more of that shallow kind of look. And let me see, how do I want to do this here? Let's try something like this here. Very cool. Maybe even do something like this just to see. Great. Okay, hang tight. Yeah, so the fog is more noticeable in the studio than it is in these shots, which is kind of interesting. So a couple of other things that I could do here. Take off the 70 to 200. And we're going to bring back 2470. And again, any questions that y'all have, leave them in the comment section. And also, listen, do me a favor. If you're watching this live stream right now, the biggest thing you could do beyond just doing a super chat, which I always appreciate, but the other thing you could do that really helps out the channel is to leave a like on the video. So if you're watching this and you're getting some value, do me a favor, leave a like on the video. Perfect. All right, let's see what we get here. Very nice. Awesome. So right now, all I've done is basically add, I have 2 lights on that are edge lights, and I've got the one blue light as my main light. And what I've done is put on a, well, I guess I should leave that on. I'll show you all this. I used this in my last stream, and I love using this, especially when it comes to using it with like some kind of colored light. This, I don't know if you could see this. Actually, you can. So you can see this on the screen if I do this. Okay, cool.
Leave it there for a second so we can focus.
There it goes.
Wait for it. There it is.
All right, so you see those lines, hopefully, that are on this filter. This is made by a company called Creator Effects. They're not a sponsor, just like this filter. Bought it on Amazon. But you notice if you see the light here in the background, when I put this over it, you see those streaks. Actually, now it's focusing on the streaks themselves. But you could change the direction of those streaks. It's kind of hard to do it, but you could change the streaks by just like rotating the filter. So it's kind of a cool little effect. And it's essentially just like, to me, it looks like a UV filter with some lines on it, but you could see kind of the before and after. It just gives a kind of like a little bit of a flare. So between the atmospheric haze that we have, this fog, having this filter on, having these colored lights in the background, it just gives you something that looks a little bit cool. So now, right now, we just get Katelyn to buy into the mood and buy into the vibe of the colors that we have going on. So, and she's a pro, so she's done this. But if you are working with someone who is not a pro, then my best recommendation would be that you get them to play a character. You know, you tell them like, here's the vibe that we're going for, you know, and you play out a scenario, and they will do a really good job of like giving you the vibe that you're trying to go for. So very cool. All right, so we got a couple there. I'm going to change the color because we've kind of done quite a few of these. We're going to switch over to one of my other preset colors, which is purple. And then for these backlights, yeah, that looks cool. Actually, what does that look like? Purple, orange, and blue. You know what? We're just playing around today. Why don't we just see what that looks like? Very cool. Nice. Very cool. Do me a favor. Come forward a tiny bit. Yep, just like that. That's good. And I'm going to rotate this flare off camera. Yep. Nice. So just to show you in these shots, right now, I have the flare going up and down, so you're not seeing the flare. But if I twist the filter, and now I take this shot, you're going to see that now the flare is kind of growing across the face. So that filter is really cool because you could basically just twist it and kind of get it, you know, get it in the position that you want it to be. So before we continue, let me check these questions here. What would be your go-to lens for studio portraits? I'm always indecisive. from 50 millimeter or 18 to 55. So for studio stuff, I would tell you that you probably, if you want to shoot it in my style, I would tell you anywhere from 70 millimeters and up. So 85-1.8, 85-1.4, 85-1.2, 100 mil, 70 to 200 probably is going to be your best bet if you just want to get one lens and just be done. 70 to 200 would be it. 50 mil for me is not one of my favorite focal lengths. And actually we'll shoot some before I get too crazy. Let me just shoot some at 50. So we're going to switch over from the 2470 to a 50 millimeter f1.2 G Master, which is top 5 best portrait lenses ever made, in my opinion. However, I use it a lot for like location portraiture, a little bit less for the studio. And who knows, maybe I'll use it now and fall in love with it for studio shots because that's just the way my life is. But yeah, I mean, I tend to like shooting with the longer focal lengths, but one of the videos that I have coming up here pretty soon with Jessica Cabasi, she loves shooting with a 50. That was like her favorite. I'm going to get off the tripod because part of this as well, if you're an introvert like me, you're going to love shooting with a 70 to 200 because you can have some distance with the person that you're photographing. With the 50, you got to get up close to get that same type of crop. So get in a little close here. Looks cool. We're at f2.8. Awesome. And I'm actually going to shoot this at f1.2 because we can, right? Why not? So f1.2, we're at ISO 100 now. And I'm going to have to bring my shutter speed up because it is way blown out at f1.2. So I'm at 1/640 at f1.2. Beautiful. Love that. Great. Good. So you know how I've just been saying, I don't really like shooting 50. Yeah, this looks cool. Nice. See, that's why you jinx yourself, you know? You're like, I don't like shooting 50. And then you shoot with the 50 and it actually looks kind of cool. So, yeah. So let's thumb through a few of these. Yeah, dig that. That's cool. Love that. Go back to that shot for me. Hit Control Plus on the keyboard a few times. I want to see if I got the eyes in focus. Is it zooming? Oh, so yeah, hold on. I forgot. It's like, no, you don't want to do that. Okay. Guess we could do that. Yeah. So that's relatively sharp. So if I have you zoom in, basically it's just 2 fingers up and or down. Yeah, it wasn't working before, and now, of course, for the stream, it's working fine because that's the way it goes. But yeah, so this is part of the challenge, I think, of shooting at f1.2. And this is one of the things that I see a lot of people do. You have to talk to the person you're photographing because at f1.2, keep in mind, the way these cameras work, they can only focus on a single eye, right? So if this camera decides to focus on the left eye, and Katelyn, turn your face towards me this way. So if the camera focuses on the closest eye, which is here at f1.2, this eye back here is going to be blurred to death. You're not going to see it. So what you have to do at f1.2, if you want to get the face and the eyes sharp, is that instead of your face going this way or this way, so look straight, your head could go this way, just can't go this way. Right? So let's do a few like that. Very nice. Great. I'm actually going to adjust my shutter speed here. We're going to go, let's go to a 1/1000. Great. And of course, I could have gone to the lights and just lowered the power of the lights, but it's a lot easier to just adjust your shutter speed. Nothing wrong with faster shutter speeds here. It's great. See a few of these. So now, if we go through a few of these images, nice. Okay, so stop right there on that one. Zoom into the eyes for me. Okay, there you go. So now we're at f1.2, and you can see that we're getting the eyes really nice and sharp, and we're doing it in relatively low light situations here. I mean, that's detail. And so I did a photo walk in New York. I guess it was last week. And anytime I do a photo walk, I always tell people this. If you take a photo and you look at the back of your screen and you're like, boom, I did it. Congratulate me. I got the shot of the year. That's good for you. Play back the image, zoom into it, pixel peep those eyes. Make sure that you are seeing the eyes super sharp and in focus. If for some creative reason you want to get the eyes out of focus, then you know what? Be an artist, okay? Go for it. But as a habit, it isn't good to get the eyes out of focus. They should be in focus. We have technology now with these newer mirrorless cameras that makes it super easy. I'm literally, I could show you this. This is how obnoxious it is. And this is the R4. This isn't even like, you know, this came out in 2018. We're not even talking like, you know, the R5 or like an Alpha 1, right? Which is even better. So I'm not even going to look here. I'm just going to like point it in her general direction. I'm going to hold the shutter halfway. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take a shot. Composition wasn't great because I wasn't looking, but zoom into the eyes on this. Let's see if this worked. So you can see f1.2. I'm not even looking, and I still got the eyes in focus. I'm not doing this to try to like flex or show off or anything like that because I literally didn't do it. The camera did it for me, right? So this is how easy it is when you're using a mirrorless camera. So if you're not getting these kind of results and you have a mirrorless camera that you want to check your settings, in my situation with the R4, I've got it on wide area focus. I have continuous autofocus. And of course, I have it set to automatically choose the eye, and it basically just finds the eye. Katelyn can pose, she can move, it's going to track the eye. When I take the shot, it's going to be sharp, it's going to be in focus. So again, not trying to flex or anything on y'all, but I get a lot of questions about this, and yeah, that's how it's done. Okay, let's go to the comments here. Again, any questions you have, let me know. I have the R4 24-70 GM Mark I and 70-200 GM Mark II, and some of my photos are overexposed. Please help. What mode are you shooting in would be the first question. If your photos are overexposed, there's a few ways to fix that. If you're in manual mode, the easiest thing to do would be to use your exposure triangle. So you could either, if it's overexposed, you can increase your aperture, or rather you can close it down. Right? So if you're at f2.8, you can go to 4, 5.6, f8. It's going to continue to darken the image. You can raise your shutter speed up. So if you're at, say, 1/200, you can go to 1/250, 1/320, 1/400. That will continue to bring your exposure in check. Or if your ISO is at, let's say, 400, you can bring it down to 100. And that's the cool thing doing these live photo shoots. You saw how I did it, right? At the beginning of the shoot, it was overexposed a lot. How did I fix it? I just brought the ISO down, right? If you're using LED lights like we have in the studio right now, the other option would be you go to the lights and you dial the power down. So that's another way to be able to do it. You can bring the lights farther away from the light source, or sorry, bring the person farther away from the light source. That also will fix your exposure. So a bunch of different ways to be able to do it. If you are using aperture priority, shutter priority, program mode, your camera likely has an exposure compensation dial, which on the R4 looks bring it up to the camera so you can see it. So if you're using one of the automatic modes, this is the exposure compensation dial right here. So if it's overexposed, then maybe what you'll want to do is bring it down to like -1, -2, whatever the case might be, until you get your exposure in check. And that's if you're doing it with one of the automatic modes, you know, aperture priority, shutter priority. So a couple ways to do it. What if you're doing full body? Do you prefer 50 for those, maybe even 35? I would prefer, so to be honest with you, I would still prefer 70 to 200. If you go to my Facebook page, should be facebook.com/Miguel Quiles Photography. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong. Maybe it's on mine. One of my pages has a cover shot, and it's me taking a full body shot of a ballerina. She's on stage and she's jumping up and down, and you'll see me with a 70 to 200, and I'm laying on the floor and I'm zooming in. So if you have the space and you want to do a full body, I would always choose to do it with a 70 to 200. If not, use 24 to 70. But yeah, I shoot my full body stuff with a 70 to 200 and I love it. I do a great deal of corporate headshots, and the 50 was a bit too close for the C-level folks. So I got the 2470 G Master 2, was able to back off enough for comfort levels. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I love the 70 to 200. Like, you could be pretty far back and, you know, you can still tell the people what it is that you want, and they can hear you, and it's a comfortable distance. Especially during COVID, it made it really easy. But yeah, 50, 35, like that's going to be a little bit more intimate. The other thing too is that it does introduce a little bit of distortion to the face. Not that it can't be corrected or fixed, like it can't be fixed in post, because you could just change the perspective on the image and you could fix that. But I like to get it looking good in camera. So Michael says, thanks. Appreciate you being here. Elizabeth, got to go to work. Keep killing it. Thank you. Good luck at work. Hamad says, would you expose to the middle or to the right and guarantee the highlights are protected without worrying about noise from raising exposure or shadows in post, shooting full manual? That's a great question. And the answer to that is absolutely. Protect your highlights at all costs. I would much rather have a shot that is underexposed, but I keep all of the highlights protected, than to overexpose the image, blow out the highlights, because when you try to recover them, they don't recover well. They end up, you end up having like some really bad looking highlights. Like the colors will never be the same. So 100% underexpose so that you're able to actually retain the highlight detail, because you can go into Capture One, you can go into Lightroom, you can go into any of these programs and just boost your settings. It takes 2 seconds and you're able to actually get an exposure that looks really good. So yeah, at all costs, protect your highlights. Very good question. All right. So again, any questions that y'all have, leave them in the comments, because we're going to keep it moving. Next little setup that we're going to do here is we're going to shoot this as a flash. And so these Rotolight LEDs are really cool because you're able to actually fire them as if they were a flash. And these are high-speed sync capable flashes that also flash with color, which is trippy. Like, it's hard for me to like wrap my head around some of these things sometimes, but you're actually able to flash with colors, which is pretty slick. So here's what we're going to do. Take a step back closer to the background and turn off my fog machine. We managed to fire that off without making the sprinklers go off. So it's great success today. All right. Okay. And there we go. So right now, take a little tiny step closer to the background. Yep, right there is good. Perfect. Okay, looks good. All right, We're going to keep everything the same here. I'm going to bring everything closer. Because again, all I'm trying to do is really catch some of that light onto the background. And right now, I have this set to flash mode. And I think this was mentioned earlier. But if it wasn't, these new Aeos 2 Pros and the Neo 3 Pros, they actually work with Godox triggers. So that is super helpful. So we're actually going to use the Godox triggers right now to fire off these lights. There we go. Cool. Now, what's really unique about these lights, especially the fact that I'm using them with the Godox trigger, which is pretty sweet. But what's really cool is that there's like basically no recycle time with these. So let me move this because this is probably blocking. There we go. So you're basically able to use these lights with like no recycle time. So let's get this in order here. We're at, and actually these aren't the right settings, but I want to show you how to troubleshoot this. So I just brought my shutter speed down to 1/160. I'm at f1.2, ISO 100. This is not going to work, but I'm going to take it anyway because I want to show you. This is for the person who was asking about how do I fix my overexposed shot. So you could see I don't even need the highlight warning, and I can tell that it's like crazy overexposed, probably the majority of the image, right? So there's a few things we can do. First thing that I personally would recommend is getting the heck off of f1.2. There's no reason to do that. Like there's no reason to shoot f1.2 in a studio situation unless that's just the vibe you want to go for. But I personally don't want to do that. So all I'm going to do is bring my aperture from f1.2 and I'm going to land somewhere. Let's try f5.6. Let's just see. Here we go. Okay. So you can see all I did was just change my aperture from f1.2 to f5.6, and you can see that it got darker. So now we're not overexposed. And if you look at the histogram, which is on the top left, you'll notice that it's skewed a little bit towards the left side of the histogram, which is fine. We've done a really good job at retaining the highlights. So hit that exposure warning for me. And let's see. So there's nothing blinking, right? And I'm actually going to come over really quick. Let me, I'm going to bump this up in capture 1. So you can see I'm at 0.85. And now the exposure is kind of more in line with what I would like to get as far as the exposure. And it was pretty easy to just boost that up. Of course, I'm going to continue to play with that exposure. If I was retouching this, I would probably bring up the shadows. You know, there's wiggle room for you to be able to play with this because it's a raw file. But you're able to do that because you retain the highlights in the image. Now, if I blew out the image, like that first one, go back to that first shot that's like crazy bright, and then go to the exposure slider and go down. So notice how you can bring the exposure down, but you see those highlights, how they're still like, they're crispy. It's the only way to describe it. You know, those highlights are super crispy. And even though the overall exposure of the image looks better, those highlights are never going to have her natural skin tone ever again. Like they're gone. You just kiss them goodbye, right? So this is prime example. Like this one, bring the exposure up on that second image to like, I don't know, 1.5. So you can see, I mean, there's a lot of room to be able to bring up that exposure and get a shot that looks good versus if we shot it overexposed and we try to recover it. If you see those highlights, there's this effect that looks like posterization in the highlights, and it's not cute. Like no one will ever want to pay you for shots if you do that. And even if you're like, oh, let's make it black and white, go to the saturation and just drop the saturation slider all the way down. So notice how, like, if you go black and white, okay, maybe you're okay. I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know in the chat what you think. Does that look passable for you if we went black and white? I mean, I mean, based on what I'm seeing on the monitor, you might be able to get away with that. But in color, that's a no-go. That's going to be you do not pass go. All right. So the other thing you want to make sure of as well is if you make adjustments, let's say you're shooting tethered with Capture One, if you make any kind of adjustments to the image, make sure that you reset it, because every additional image that comes through is going to have that adjustment. It will throw you off. Let's see. So going through the comments here, any questions you have, let me know. Does the model's face or body shape affect your choice of focal length? As you said, 35mm has significant distortion compared to, say, 135. Curious if the slimming or widening certain areas is a factor. Yes, absolutely. So if, for example, you were working with somebody who was very thin, like super, super thin, you probably, for the sake of the photo shoot, maybe you do want to make them look a little bit wider, right? So you can use a 35, you can use a 40. That is going to change the perspective. It's not going to make them look maybe as thin as they might be. So that's something you want to play with. If you shoot with the, like, say 135 or 150 or 200, you might make somebody who looks really thin even thinner, which, hey, if that's the vibe you're going for, great. You know, as long as you're getting paid and they're happy, do you, boo-boo. But, you know, for the most part, it's not something that I would recommend. And again, if you're shooting somebody like me of the healthy type, you know, you probably don't want to shoot me at a 35 or a 50, right? You might want to rock with a 135 where it just slims you down a little tiny bit. So these are things that you definitely want to keep in mind. And it's all based on what your goals are when you're doing these photo shoots. This is a lazy man's exposure. You need to get it right in camera. Get a light meter and take the shot. Yeah, so Jim, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I am a lazy man, very lazy man. So there are going to be times where, you know what, you know how to get to that desired exposure. So you just eyeball it and you move on with life. I actually made a video about this a while back. It is entirely possible for you to get a light meter, and I actually have one, a really nice one here from Sekonic. You can meter the light and it's going to tell you right away, and then you're off to the races. But as soon as you start making changes, every single time you make a change, you're going to need to get another reading. You're going to need to adjust the camera anyway. To me, the light meter was way more useful. It comes in handy in a couple ways. The first one would be if you were shooting film back in the day. Obviously, you can't take a test shot and look at it, right? Because you had to expose the entire film, you know, get it developed, and then look at it. And at that point, your shoot's done. With digital photography, to me, I think it's a lot easier to just take the shot and make adjustments from there. But where having the light meter is super helpful is, let's say in this case where we have 3 different lights, you can meter your lights and say, okay, my main light is metering at f8. My rear lights are metering at f5.6. And let's say if I have a notebook, I can keep that so that the next time I want to do this setup, very easy. Meter the main light to f8, meter the back lights to 5.6, and you're ready to go. In my opinion, as being somebody who doesn't like recipes, right? I just like eyeballing things. And I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it to y'all. Maybe it'll be the first time you're hearing this. But many years ago, my mom, she's now almost 80 years old. She's been making rice and beans her entire life. And so she's getting older. So I'm like, Mom, I want you to teach me how you make your rice and beans, because she's so consistent. I'm thinking she's got a recipe, right? That's the only way that the 40 years that I've been on this planet, she literally makes the rice and beans the same every single time. Meanwhile, when I make it, 2 out of 10 times it's the same. And the rest of the times it's either sticky or it's dry, whatever, right? So I asked my mom, Mom, teach me how you make your rice. All right, I'm sitting here with a notepad, pen and paper. Go ahead. Okay, first you need water. She turns on the sink. She starts putting water in a pot. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. How much water did you just put in that pot? She walks the pot over to me and she shows me the pot. And she's like, that much water. I'm like, how much water is that? I don't know. Mike, look, she's Puerto Rican. Papi, look, is that much water? Okay, fine, it's that much water. So I'm like, I'm writing it down, you know, it's this size pot, and she put it about 3/4 of the way full, right? Okay, then you got to get the rice. Beautiful. I got my little measuring cup. My mom comes up with this big old bag of rice. If you know any Hispanic people, y'all know this like bag of rice that y'all have at your house that's like as big as a human being. She picks up this giant bag and she's just, right? And I'm like, Mom, how much rice did you just put in this pot? Papi, you just watched me. There's this much rice, right? So I already knew at this point where this is going that she didn't have a recipe. She just eyeballs how much water, how much rice. So I'm just writing this all down. She puts the pot on the stove. She puts salt. I wasn't even going to ask how much salt. I'm just watching her as she just pours what seemed to be a lot of salt, but she's just pouring it into the rice, turns on the heat, and lets it ride. And so I'm done watching her do this. And I'm like, okay, my recipe is crap right now because I don't know any of the measurements. And she's like, listen, the only way that you're going to learn how to do this consistently is for you to do what I'm doing. When you go home, try to make the rice and just do it the way that I'm showing you. So sure enough, second and third time I made it, I was a little bit off. But now if I have to make my mom's rice and beans, I don't need a measuring cup. I get the pot, I put water in it, I put, you know, all the ingredients, everything into it, and it comes out the same every single time. Lighting is very much the same way. You could do it with a light meter. You can get all the recipes. You can get the ratios. All of that will get you a result. So I'm not knocking it. But what I'm saying is, if you don't have a light meter and you don't know how to do it any other way, you're out of gas. My eyeballs, as long as I can see, Lord help me, as long as my eyeballs work, we're going to get the shot. And it's only going to take me a couple of shots anyway to be able to get it. And the same amount of time that it takes for somebody to get that, you know, metered shot, I literally take one shot. Ooh, it's too bright. Click, click, take the next shot. Boom, we're ready to go. It's super fast. And the longer you've been doing it, I can eyeball my settings and I rarely need a light meter. So all of that to say, I'm not saying it directly to you, Jim, but I'm saying it for the purposes of the audience. It's a lot of ways to do this, right? There is no right and wrong way to do it. You could do it with a light meter. Great. You could do it with your eyeballs. That's great. Whatever it takes, as long as you could be consistent in your final result, to me, in my opinion, that's the most important thing. So I'm going to get off my soapbox. But thank you. That is a very, very good point. So Sony cameras have an auto exposure setting that exposes for protecting highlights. Easy starting point. That is true, sir. You can do a highlight metering mode, and it will make sure that your highlights are in check. Michael says, great learning from you. Thank you. Let's see, Jim was following up. When you shoot underexposed and bring it up, you're changing the color. The most important thing you can do is make the person's skin tone accurate, and multiple shooting stops under is not the way. So again, yes and no. If you were shooting with an old camera, like let's say you're shooting with just some old DSLR, the detail in the shadows, if you underexpose a little bit too much, that color is probably not going to be good. I have a video. If you go on YouTube after this live stream, look up Miguel Dynamic Range, and it should pop up. The thumbnail is a model completely in silhouette, and then the next shot on the side is her lit up. You'll see this shot, and you'll notice that she's completely underexposed to the point to where you don't see her face, and then you play around with it in post, and the skin tones look great. So it depends on the camera. If you have an old DSLR, if you have an old digital camera of any type, this may not apply to you. And in that case, yes, try to get it as close to, you know, in camera perfect as possible. But with most modern cameras, mirrorless cameras of any brand, you're able to underexpose the image, and it's going to be very, very nice. Joey says, laugh out loud, true story. Been there, seen that. See? Okay, eyeballing is fine if you had the experience. Yes, it's always if you have the experience. And that's the goal. Like, you watch these videos, and I'm sharing my experience with you. And my goal is that you are inspired and educated to go out and try some of the stuff that I'm showing, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you from being able to do what I'm showing, is just having that experience. The more that you do this, it's so simple. Like, it's nothing. In many ways, I feel like everything that I've been showing over the last few years is very easy to do. The hard part is the people part. The people component of it is by far the hardest thing. Trying to figure out how to get that great expression, that great pose out of a person, that's the part that doesn't come easy. They don't have settings in a camera to make that happen. The technical side of things is very simple. It's one of those rinse and repeat, keep practicing. And just like you don't think about walking, right? You don't think like, oh, I got to put one foot in front of the other. And if not, I might trip and fall. Like, you don't think about it. You just do it. And think about it like this. You get up in the middle of the night. It might be pitch black in your house and you got to go pee. You don't need to turn on your lights in the middle of the night to be able to make it to the bathroom and lift up or sit down on the toilet or whatever method it is that you use. You don't need to turn on the lights to do that. You just know instinctively where things are, even though you cannot see where it's at. How do you do that? If you lived in your house for a little bit, you just know, you just figure it out. You're not, Houdini or whatever. Like, you just know because you've done it a bunch and it just becomes second nature. So the analogies today, they're on a different level. Interesting way to learn lighting. Rice and beans. Yes, that's the point. Should have made a video of your mom with all the ingredients and put it on YouTube to let us learn eyeballing rice and beans too. Yeah, so funny enough, I do actually have this video. I might have to show you one day. She might kill me if I post it, but I actually have the video of her teaching me how to make this. I also had her do pasteles, which is another, if you're Puerto Rican, you already know, they're so good for the holidays. And my mom showed me how to make those. And yeah, same thing. There is no recipe. Learn my lesson. I think white balance is more important for skin tones with digital cameras. That is correct. That is correct. Sometimes if you shoot the wrong white balance and it's way off, you still can't recover the skin tones the way you want it to be. So I would much rather have the white balance correct. How do we get our personal work to you for corrections? Good question. So I'm actually going to be doing, a while back, I used to do these portfolio reviews during COVID times. And I had a lot of fun doing them, and I haven't been doing them lately, and I want to do them again. So keep an eye out. Likely in one of my videos, I'll post and I'll say, hey, I've got a link in the description where you could submit photos to be able to have them critiqued. Also, if you join my Facebook group, which is Improve Your Photography, you can post there on my off days. I like to go in there, look at people's images. I try to get feedback if I can. But when I get ready to do like a public live stream where I'm critiquing photos, I'll post it in there as well. So Joey says pasteles with ketchup. Bro, what are you doing putting ketchup on pasteles? They're good just as is, man. You don't need to put ketchup on that. But I do know a lot of people that just like dip it in ketchup. It's a thing. Let's see. Random dude from Australia. What's up? Yeah. So anyway, with that being said, if y'all have any additional questions, leave them in the comments. I'm just going to have some parting thoughts here, which is to say, first and foremost, make sure you like this video. If you've been watching this live stream, it's super easy. It doesn't cost you anything. Just bump that like button because it really helps us out. Also, give myself and Katelyn a follow on Instagram. We post images all the time. I post a lot of behind the scenes for my photo shoots in my Instagram stories. So if you want to see that, definitely check that out. And then, again, our setups today, hopefully you see that it's not that complicated. I mean, I hope you walk away from not just this workshop, but any workshop that I do. I want you to walk away and think that was so painfully easy. I don't even know why he did the live stream. You might think to yourself, like, I came into it not knowing how to do it. And then you walk away from it feeling like, wow, that was really easy. And that's great. If you felt like it was really easy, smash like, but more importantly, go outside and go try this stuff out. It's as easy as I'm showing you. Like I say, the hardest thing is trying to get good expressions, number one. Number two, once you get a bunch of good expressions, because you did an entire photo shoot and maybe you have 2, 3, 4, 500 or more photos, is trying to figure out of the great poses and expressions that you got, which are the best of the best. Because I could tell you, number one problem I see with a lot of photographers, they will take a bunch of images and then you go to their website. And I'm going to be very careful how I say this because the person that I'm specifically thinking of might be in the chat right now. So I love you if you are, but this is the truth. Some people will take a bunch of photos and you go to their website and they literally will have like a folder of the photo shoot. And instead of there being, I don't know, like in this case, Katelyn had one outfit, right? If I photographed her in one outfit, the most that I would ever post up online, maybe 5. And that's a lot. I got to like the outfit. She had to give me a lot of variety of expressions. Maybe I would post at most 5. Realistically, 2 is the most that I would ever post. I see people posting 40, 50, 60 shots, 100 shots online in their photo albums. And it's literally like this. They'll be posing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like, and it's like 100 shots where they're just moving through their poses. Pick one, pick the best of the best. Don't show all those in-between shots. You are judged by your like worst photos. So show only the good stuff. Be very critical on which is the best shot and only post those shots. Those in-between shots, the getting ready shots, all that kind of stuff, give it to them. Let them post that if they want. But as far as for you, for your portfolios, don't post those. You can take all the information that I'm telling you. If you find it helpful and you start implementing it, that's great. Where I see a lot of people disconnect is they have a hard time trying to figure out which is the good shot out of all of these shots that we just took. Get really good at just critiquing your own work. And so hopefully when we do these critiques in the next couple of weeks, I will show you how I do it. But again, how I do it is not necessarily the right way. It's just the way that I do it. It's the way that's worked for me. But the most important thing I could tell you regardless is get really like brutally strict with cutting images down to like the best of the best. Don't show everything. So looking at the chat, I have the Sony 90 macro and the 85. I'm thinking of selling the 90 because I don't use it much. What do you think? So I've had the same scenario. I've always had an 85 and I've always had a 90 or 100 macro. They're 2 different tools. And I know for many people, it's like, oh, it's only 5 to 15 millimeters difference. They are 2 different tools for 2 different things. You're using that macro when you have that unicorn of a human being that has like perfect, beautiful skin, right? And you want to exaggerate the texture of the skin and make it look really good. You're using that 90 macro or that 100 macro. For anybody else, and we're talking that's like 2 to 5% of the human population. So you may not even ever see somebody that is in that boat. But when you do, you break out the 90 macro, you break out the 100 macro, and your photos are going to look even better. For the majority of other people, your 85 is going to be perfectly fine. And I would even say in those situations where you have somebody who has like ungodly skin, you could shoot the 85 and it's still going to look really good. It would just look better with the macro. So, you know, if there's some other focal length that works for more of the types of shots that you want to get, then yeah, sell that 90 macro and get something else. But I know for me, I have both in my tool belt, and the 90 macro doesn't get used all the time, but the times that I do use it, it comes in clutch, right? It comes in super clutch. Let's see. John is saying great live stream. Take care and have a great week. Thank you, John. Appreciate the super chat earlier as well. David says, thanks for the knowledge and wisdom and brilliant analogies. Thank you. I make a lot of analogies. I don't know if they're all brilliant. Some of them are pretty goofy, but I'm glad that they resonated with you. So thank you for that. With that being said, listen, thank you all for joining me. It's been about an hour and 40 minutes. We went through a variety of different setups. We talked about the gear. We talked about settings. I'm hoping this helps. I'm very much thinking about doing a once a month live stream in this same type of format. Hopefully with the support of some sponsors, because this is not a cheap effort to try to put this together. It is a lot behind the scenes to get it done. So hopefully with sponsor support, we could do this once a month where we can have this like free time to get together for an hour, 2 hours, go through different images, go through lighting, through settings. But if this is something that you would like, I need to hear about it. You need to let me know in the comment section if this is something that you would want to see on a monthly basis. Leave a like on the video, as I'm going to turn around and show this to a sponsor and say, look, here's my last live stream. All these people here said they want me to come back live and do this once a month. It's one thing for me to say it. It's a whole different ballgame for y'all to say it out there. I want to do it, but we have to have the support. Katelyn, she charges a lot. She's like super expensive. Tatiana is behind the counter back here. They also charge like a ton of money. So somebody's got to pay for it, right? Let the sponsors pay for it. So make sure you let us know in the comment section. And again, make sure that you give Katelyn a follow on IG. Give me a follow while you're there. And I love you all very much. I hope you all are staying safe out there. Be sure to subscribe because I have another video, hopefully Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I have a video that's going to be coming out. So subscribe so that way you can check that video out. It should be a good one about lighting and portraiture and all that good stuff. So yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy it and hope y'all have a great week. We'll see you later.